Meanwhile, the front page of the Wall Street Journal has some new reporting on the wave of white-collar layoffs, with major companies like Amazon, UPS, Target announcing cuts, slashing thousands of corporate roles. In their statements, companies cited in part growing pressure to operate more efficiently and to embrace the use of artificial intelligence. So, Jim Vandehei, that brings us around to your piece with Mike Allen, looking at how an AI job apocalypse unfolds in front of us, and it does seem to be accelerating, especially yesterday with that news from Amazon of 14,000 jobs cut, and then explicitly writing in their statement about the role of AI in the cuts.
Yeah, I think it's hard for viewers and readers to realize, to sort through all the news and really seize on what matters. I cannot stress to parents, to students, to anyone who's in a job that could be imminently affected by AI, what a big deal this is. You have all of these companies basically saying they're either laying off employees or that they're dramatically slowing hiring over the next year because of automation and because of AI. At the same time, you had this company, Mercor, a couple days ago raise money at a $10 billion valuation. It's a 2-year-old company started by and run by 22-year-olds who were college roommates and then dropped out not long ago. What that company does, and the reason it got such a high valuation, is it basically pays doctors and lawyers and other professionals to train AI to basically do their job, so that companies can then do the work of humans using robots or using artificial intelligence. This is unfolding very fast, and maybe it's not as bad as the naysayers say. There's no doubt. I've not found a single CEO that I have talked to in the last 6 months who's not told me privately that they are dramatically slowing hiring or not backfilling jobs when people leave or considering layoffs, specifically because of AI. This should be the only topic that Congress is thinking about and talking about. I don't think most workers realize what's happening. In our piece, we linked to this report by Microsoft that was done this summer that shows you all of the tasks and all of the jobs that are most vulnerable. If you're in one of those jobs, or if your kid is going to school and considering those professions, you've got to be thinking about this. You have to be thinking about, how can I do that job if artificial intelligence can do it for free or do it better? In some cases, it can make you a better employee, but it might force you to think about doing something differently. And I don't think politicians are leveling with the American people. They're not talking about the extent of what's going to happen over the next 3 years. That doesn't mean AI couldn't be a massive boom like other technologies over a long horizon. But in the short term, it's really hard to see how a lot of people aren't going to end up struggling and trying to find a new job, especially if you're entry level coming out of college.
Jim, you're so right. We're watching politicians and podcasters, other people fighting and debating over the dumbest things right now. Oh my God. This is an existential threat to working Americans, for middle-class Americans. It's a 1-2 punch. Yeah. It's AI. It's robotics. You start talking about robotics with leaders of a lot of these tech companies, and they will talk about, basically it's sort of a space race for robotics and what country is ahead of the other country. So you've got white collar workers getting hit, blue collar workers getting hit. And Mike Barnicle, I remember in 1992, Bill Clinton's campaign being saved from the Gennifer Flowers scandal by him going into the snows of New Hampshire and explaining to those people that were suffering from factories closing, post-industrial rot that was brought on from the information age revolution and then the tech revolution. We're going to get those jobs back. That was 33, 34 years ago. Politicians in either party haven't gotten those jobs back for those working Americans. The factories have closed. They're not coming back. And if they do come back, they're going to be run by AI and robots. And yet Washington, D.C. is just not doing anything about it.
Joe, one of the most critical things that Jim just alluded to, that he just talked about, is if you're at home and your children are in college or whatever,
Right.
and they're training themselves educationally for a specific series of jobs or a specific profession that they're interested in, will that profession still be there when they graduate from college? And the after effect of that is what you just raised. Are we confident that the United States Congress has a significant membership, a percentage of membership, of its membership, that realize the threat of AI?
They have no idea.
That's the point.
All they look at are the people that are contributing money from these monopolies in Silicon Valley. It's all they. And if you ask them to like even talk about AI, they go, "Well, we can't beat you. China may beat us." They have no idea. They're clueless. They've been clueless for 30 years. Again, about how do you help communities, whether it's in New Hampshire, whether it's textile mills in South Carolina, whether it's factories all across the Rust Belt, up and down New England that have been shuttered for decades. They have no answer. And now the biggest 1-2 punch is coming to working Americans, and they're fighting about the stupidest things imaginable and focusing on the stupidest things imaginable. And yes, I will put a ballroom at the White House and a $40 billion bailout of Argentina near the top of that list. But talk about, Mika, kids.
Yeah.
Kids that are coming out of college. I say kids, young adults coming out of college. How things have gotten so much bleaker today than they were even 5 years ago because of what Jim's talking about, because of AI.
No, I mean, kids are putting out applications that they spend hours on, and they'll get an AI response. And this is the beginning of, I think, what you said, the existential crisis. It is going to be a generation of young people with no jobs, if we're not careful, with nowhere to go. And, I mean, it's frightening.
And Willie, we can't say we haven't been warned. That's one of the things that Jim Vandey's done so well in Axios. They're talking about this, but I'm surprised more people aren't talking about the coming wave of layoffs.
Yeah, and we get the executives you're talking about who run these tech companies show up, once a year, once every couple of years. They take their hits on Capitol Hill. They run circles around some of the members who, as you say, don't really understand the issue. They go back to business and, by the way, now get massive tax cuts and subsidies to continue doing what they're doing, effectively unregulated. Jim, one interesting byproduct of all this, though, is a rethinking of what a good education is, of what good career training is. There was a report put out that these very AI companies are going to need 130,000 electricians in the next couple of years, for example. So people thinking differently about what education means. How am I educating myself? How am I preparing myself for the future?
Yeah, and this is why leadership matters. It doesn't actually have to be this way. So I've done a bunch of phone calls over the last 2 weeks with Chamber of Commerce in some of the biggest cities, so from Phoenix to Des Moines to Pittsburgh. And a common theme in a lot of these cities is that they actually have jobs that have been open for a while, and they can't fill them because they don't have people who live there who have those skills. So one of the things Congress could be doing is build some kind of database, make it very clear about what type of jobs are open, where are they, what type of education do you need? If you don't have that education, how could you get the skill training to do it? I bet you the AI companies would be glad to help even fund that, because a lot of those jobs are either AI specific or they're dependent or adjacent companies like energy companies, chip companies, or data companies. And so what Joe was saying about the lack of understanding among a lot of members of Congress about AI, in some ways it is criminal, because it is one of the biggest topics of our generation. And there are things that lawmakers could do, and they don't necessarily have to cost people. And I think people are being misled by the fact that the stock market is booming. Unless you are directly invested in the stock market or you have a robust 401k, you're not benefiting from a big stock market. So yes, people who are in the stock market, I'm benefiting from it. But if you don't have enough money or you don't have a 401k, who cares what's happening to the S&P 500? It's making rich people richer. It's not helping the people who are about to have their health care premiums go up or might need that SNAP payment that's about to expire. Like that is the role that Congress could play in this, but they just keep doing weird things when you could be looking at the most substantive thing unfolding unfolding in real time. Joe,
Right.
you're
Right
right.
in
You
our
know
faces.
ahead of time it's coming.
Yeah.
They're telling you.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
there.
Again, there are two Americas right now, and you have a GDP that is fueled a lot by what you're saying, the top 1%, and even the stock market, Mika. You got the Mag 7, the Magnificent Seven, fueling so much of the stock market's growth. You take out those 7 companies, most of them monopolies, the stock market's not close to where it is right now.
No. And again, it comes down to jobs. Millions of jobs ultimately are going to be lost as we go into the future here. And what is Congress going to do? It's a very uncertain time.